Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into a really interesting set of YouTube transcripts you shared with us from Poet English.
Hmm.
And what's fascinating, right off the bat, is how well, they seem like simple A1 English listening exercises.
Yeah, pretty basic stuff on the surface.
Exactly. But they touch on so much more, don't they? Like daily routines, exercise, homes, pets, even social media and New Year's goals.
Absolutely. It's like a little window into, the structure of everyday life and how we think about things.
So our mission today is to kind of dig into these topics as seen through this specific language learning lens and pull out some insights that maybe go beyond just vocabulary practice.
It's quite something, isn't it? How content aimed at beginners can actually offer this rich view of human behavior and our approaches to just living.
It really is. Makes you think about what you can learn from the ordinary if you look close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's start where it makes sense, the video that's actually about language learning. And the first thing that jumps out is the emphasis on, well, time and consistent effort. The speaker is pretty upfront that it's hard work.
Yeah, that honesty is important, I think. Setting realistic expectations.
Yeah.
It's not magic, learning a language, or any real skill for that matter.
True. No overnight fluency here.
It's about that steady practice, building those connections in your brain over time.
And then almost in the next breath, they talk about the fun side.
Ah, yes. The motivation part.
Yeah, the speaker, who mentions being both a teacher and a learner,
Which is a great perspective.
really highlights the joy of connecting with people, different countries, making friends, that human element.
And that taps right into something fundamental, doesn't it,
Yeah.
for our social creatures. That desire to connect can be, well, a much stronger driver than just, say, memorizing grammar rules.
Definitely more sustainable.
That intrinsic reward, yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps you going.
And it's good they don't gloss over the tough parts either.
Mm-hmm. The frustration.
Right. Feeling sad, frustrated, nervous, making mistakes with grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, all normal.
And that's key. Normal. Mistakes aren't failure.
They actually say mistakes are essential for improvement if you're not making them.
You're probably not pushing yourself enough, staying in your comfort zone.
Exactly. It's such a crucial reframing. We usually see errors so negatively.
But here, they're feedback. Signposts showing you where to focus next makes you wonder how we could apply that mindset elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So to help with that, they offer some practical tips to make it more enjoyable.
Good. Practical stuff is always helpful.
First one, read interesting books in English. But the key is pick stuff you already like. Sports, animals, tech, whatever floats your boat.
Right. Leverage your existing interests so it doesn't feel like a chore. You're learning through something you enjoy, absorbing language and context much easier.
And the second tip is similar. Watch engaging videos in English, again, tailored to your interests, fashion, cars. Same principle. And video adds that visual context, body language.
Yeah.
It all helps comprehension. You're getting more input channels.
Makes sense. And the third tip, it comes back to the social side.
Connecting with people again.
Yep. Making friends who speak English or are learning too. They even suggest checking out sites like meetup.com for practice groups.
Oh yeah, finding those communities, that's huge.
Practicing with friends is highlighted as a big benefit.
Well, it forces you to actually use the language spontaneously, right? Not just passively absorb it. And, having buddies in the same boat helps with motivation, stops you feeling isolated.
Okay, so that covers the language learning advice pretty well. Let's switch gears.
Right.
There's another transcript about the speaker's daily routine on weekdays.
The structure of a day. Always fascinating, shows priorities.
It really does. There's a clear intentionality. It starts early, like 6:00 or 6 more went on at 5 a.m.
Wow, that's dedication.
First thing is Bible reading, then language study. Currently Indonesian.
And the speaker notes feeling more motivated in the morning, then asks the listener, when their best study time is.
That self-awareness is key, isn't it? Knowing your own energy rhythms. Morning might work for them, but not for everyone. Got to find your own peak time.
Then the workday starts, 7:30 a.m., teaching English
Okay.
to students from all over Brazil, Russia, other places too. And they seem to really enjoy that global interaction.
I bet. That constant exposure to different cultures and ways of speaking must be enriching for the teacher, too. It's a two-way street, learning-wise.
Good point. Work breaks are for essentials. Eating, more studying,
Still fitting in study.
and time with their wife. Workday wraps up around 4:30 or 5:00 p.m. Pretty standard U.S. hours, they mentioned.
Yeah, that helps ground it, makes it
Yeah.
relatable. You see how learning fits around a typical workday?
Dinners at home, cooked by the wife, biggest meal,
Yeah.
meat, vegetables.
Standard stuff.
And then there's a little cultural side, noting dinners often later in other countries.
Those little observations are great. Reminders that our way isn't the only way. Daily habits vary so much globally.
Evenings involve exercise some days, then dessert. Milk and cookies, apparently.
Ah, nice touch. Adds a bit of personality.
Followed by more language study, time with the wife, and bed around 10:00 p.m.
So exercise and study in the evening too, covering all the bases, physical and mental well-being, plus the cookies.
The speaker really stresses how this routine helps them feel organized. Weekends are different, they say, but wake up and bedtime, still consistent.
That consistency, even on weekends, it really helps regulate your body clock, your circadian rhythms, affects sleep, mood, energy. It's subtle but powerful.
Okay, shifting again. Exercise. Another transcript focuses just on that.
Right, the importance of moving, good health.
They cover a few different types. It feels like the message is find something you like.
Exactly. Sustainability. It have to be enjoyable or at least tolerable long term.
First up is running. The speaker admits, quite funny actually, to being a terrible runner,
Uh-huh. Relatable for many, I'm sure.
but wants to improve. They touch on short versus long distance, outside versus treadmill, and ask the listener their preference.
That self-deprecation makes it approachable. And the question draws you in, makes you think about your own relationship with running or exercise generally.
Then weightlifting. Building muscle, strength, usually at a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Speaker mentions past gym use, but now has a limited home setup, wishes for a mini gym, notes the challenge, the potential to get stronger.
That contrast between the ideal of full gym and the reality of limited home equipment. Yeah, lots of people face that. Adapting is key.
Then playing sports. Presented as a fun alternative. Maybe you don't need running or weights if you play sports.
Right, exercise is play. If it feels fun, you're way more likely to stick with it.
Speaker reminisces about playing sports when younger, asks about your favorite sport.
Again, that emphasis on enjoyment.
Hiking gets special mention as a favorite.
Hiking. Good one.
Needs no equipment, it's free, you get nature. Notes it's popular in the U.S., maybe less so elsewhere. Likes different terrains.
And that connection to nature. There's growing evidence for the mental benefits too, right? Stress reduction, mood boost on top of the physical workout.
Good point. Finally, walking. The simplest form. Something the speaker tries to do daily.
Can't be walking for accessibility. It's the foundation for many people. Even small amounts add up.
So the overall message seems to be, try to move every day if you can, and again asks the listener, what's your preferred way to exercise?
Yeah, it's not prescriptive. It's about finding your fit. Find something sustainable and, ideally, enjoyable.
Okay, let's step inside now. Homes, another transcript topic.
Right, where we live.
Starts with the basics. Houses and apartments. Apartments common in cities smaller, maybe cheaper, often in tall buildings. Speaker adds they prefer lower floors.
Interesting little preference. Maybe avoids elevators or heights. Starts with those broad categories everyone understands.
Houses, more common outside cities. Bigger, usually have backyard speaker. Seems nostalgic about those. Apartments get balconies instead.
That backyard versus balcony thing. It really speaks to different lifestyles, doesn't it? Access to private green space. Big difference.
Then it touches on cost. How expensive homes and apartments are in the U.S., especially California. Mentions an average house price near $600,000. Renting is costly, too.
Oof. Yeah, that brings in the economic reality, puts housing choices in context. Major factor for most people.
And cultural differences, too. Renting is common in the U.S., apparently, while buying apartments might be more the norm elsewhere. Roommates get a mention, too.
Fascinating stuff. How culture and economics shape whether you rent or buy or live alone or share. It's not universal at all.
Then mentions other types condos, which are like apartments but usually owned.
Right, the ownership model difference.
And townhouses.
Yeah.
Smaller than houses, maybe cheaper, often in a community setup.
So expanding beyond just house apartment, showing
Yeah.
the spectrum of options, different community styles.
Speaker wraps up saying they prefer houses, hope to buy one someday, and you guessed it.
Ask the listener about their home.
Yep. What kind of home do you live in?
That personal aspiration makes it relatable. Our homes are tied up with our dreams and values, aren't they?
Definitely. Okay, next up. Pets. Our furry, or maybe not so furry, companions.
Ah, pets. Always a popular topic.
Starts with dogs. Most common pet in the U.S., apparently. Speaker shares childhood memories of different dogs, big, small, smart, less so, but all love to play.
Those early experiences really shape our feelings about animals, don't they? And play. That's such a core part of the bond.
But despite liking dogs, the speaker doesn't want one now. Too much time and attention needed. Also notes dogs are treated well in the U.S.
Acknowledging the responsibility. That's important. And a little cultural observation gap.
And cats. Speaker doesn't like them. Allergic too.
Okay, clear preference there.
Mentions their independence, their funny behavior as reasons others like them. Family never had cats, asks the listener. Cats or dogs?
Even the dislike is revealing, shows what traits people value, or don't, in a companion. The question forces you to pick a side, almost.
Then small pets. Hamsters, guinea pigs, easy care, live in cages. But speaker finds them boring.
Ah, subjective, of course.
And then a really interesting anecdote. Eating guinea pig in Peru.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a sharp contrast. Pet here, food there. Powerful reminder of how culture defines our relationship with animals.
Briefly mentions others. Birds, bunnies, fish, boring again, reptiles. Had a gecko once, thought it was cool because of how it ate.
Just quick mentions, but covers the range. Someone listening might have had one of those.
Talks about animal shelters in the U.S. too. Places for ownerless animals, mostly dogs. Adoption opportunities.
Right, the rescue aspect.
Speaker's family adopted several dogs, all different personalities. Remembers a favorite first dog fondly. Concludes saying if they got a pet, it'd be a dog, but no plans now. Asks if you have pets.
Highlighting adoption is great. Adds that compassionate layer. And the personal stories make it warm. Seems dogs win out for the speaker, despite the current lack of desire.
All right, let's log on. Social media is next.
Okay, the digital world. Very relevant.
Acknowledges how widespread it is, communication, other stuff. Discusses a few big apps.
Can't really avoid it these days, can you?
Facebook first. Most famous, used globally, mostly on phones. Mentions it started 2004, speaker joined 2010. Asks when you started.
Putting it on a timeline helps show how ingrained it's become. And the question makes it personal again.
Lists features, posts, pics, videos, messages, following people, pages, news examples. But despite all that, speaker says they don't really like Facebook much.
Interesting. Even the biggest platform isn't universally loved. Preferences shift, maybe especially as new options pop up.
Like Instagram, described as the most popular for young people. Pictures, videos.
Visual focus.
Speaker prefers Instagram, likes looking at photos, mentions following people, celebs too, stories. Speaker doesn't follow celebs, asks if you do. Overall, prefers it to Facebook.
So that contrast shows different appeals, right? Visual versus broader content caters to different styles.
Twitter gets a mention, popular especially for news. Speaker doesn't use it though. Gets enough news on Facebook apparently.
Yeah, people curate their feeds, choose platforms for specific needs. If you get news one place, maybe you don't need another dedicated app for it.
Snapchat too, popular with young folks. Disappearing pics, short videos. Speaker used it in the past.
The ephemeral thing. That's a whole different trend in digital communication, isn't it? Less permanent.
So, wraps up acknowledging the world loves social media. Asks your favorite app.
Leaves you thinking about your own digital habits and preferences. It's very personal which platforms we gravitate towards.
Okay, final topic from the transcripts. New Year's resolutions.
Ah, yes. Setting intentions for the year ahead. Common practice.
That desire for self-improvement, a fresh start.
Exactly.
Common one discussed. Lose weight, good goal, but hard. Needs healthy eating, exercise. Mentions the January gym rush.
Oh, yeah, the January surge.
Classic.
And how hard it is to stick with it.
That intention-action gap. It's real. Resolutions often fail because changing habits is genuinely difficult. Takes more than just deciding on Jan 1st.
Another big one. Study English more, often tied to careers, opportunities. Practical motivation.
Speaker shares their own goal, too. Study more languages generally.
Brings us back to language learning. Still a key goal for many. And the speaker sharing their own makes it relatable. We all have aspirations.
Reading more books is another. For people who are busy, want to improve skills, or just need to read more, speaker wants to read more this year, too. Suggests reading English books as a good resolution for the listener.
Encouraging reading is always good, especially in another language, great for vocab, comprehension, cultural insight. Specific goals help here rather than just read more.
Learning a new activity, sport, skill, maybe taking a class presented as a fun one.
Yeah, growth through new experiences. Brings joy, challenge, maybe new friends. Keeps life interesting.
Quitting smoking gets mentioned. Good, but maybe less fun.
Important health goal, though.
Speaker doesn't smoke, but reflects on related things. Cutting sugar, eating more vegetables, broadens the idea beyond just stopping bad habits.
Right. It's also about starting good habits. Small, positive changes add up.
So the overall vibe is positive about setting goals, trying to achieve them. Ends, of course, by asking if you have a resolution this year.
Even if resolutions don't always stick, the act of setting them, it reflects hope, a desire for positive change. That's fundamentally human, I think.
So after digging through all this, what's the takeaway? It feels like these simple language lessons have actually given us this panoramic view of life.
It really has, hasn't it?
How we learn, how we structure our days, think about health, our homes, pets, digital lives, our goals. It's all interconnected.
And seeing it through this very accessible lens of, basic English content.
Yeah.
It somehow highlights these universal themes, the motivations, the routines, the connections that shape our experience.
It is striking how even simple prompts touch on these deep human experiences. And the speaker's personal bits, the direct questions, they really make you reflect on your own life, your own choices.
Absolutely. What resonates most probably depends on where you are right now, what your priorities are. It hits everyone differently, which is the interesting part.
So here's something to maybe chew on, a final thought. Given how much the speaker emphasized finding enjoyment and connection in learning, in daily routines, exercise,
That theme came through strongly.
how could you, listening now, consciously bring more of that joy, that sense of connection into a goal you're working on, whether it's language or fitness or anything else? How do you make the process itself more engaging?